Hey wannabes, it's Brian the B-Man. You're getting me live and in person today. Hope I'm not scaring away the youngsters out there. You're not going to see my face for long, don't worry. I want to talk about what I did this weekend. I watched a couple of movies, some old, actually mostly old, but one new movie. Kind of went on a Josh Brolin thing, and I didn't even realize that I went down that hole, but we'll get into that in a second. I did play some games that came out on the PS4, not necessarily new, although they are new to the PS4. So we're going to talk about all that just a second. Anything else going on? Not really. The back is getting better for those who care about the B-Man's health issues. Back is feeling a little bit better today. I want to get back into the gym. It's been a couple of weeks, and I've been getting a lot of weight loss really quickly, and I was a little nervous. Even though my blood work seems to be okay, I'm wondering why I'm losing a lot of weight, especially considering I eat like a madman. I mean, here's a little secret. I bought some chocolates to give out to my coworkers at work, for Christmas. I bought a couple of boxes. Yeah, when I was out of work, they didn't make it. Those chocolates did not make it. So I had to go back out to the store and buy some more chocolates this past weekend to give out for Christmas. So the B-Man's appetite has not changed much, but I've lost about 10 pounds in 2 weeks. I'm hoping that's just like muscle weight, whatever, because I haven't worked out in about a month. So otherwise, I guess I found the secret to, I don't know what, weight loss, I guess, because I can eat and eat and eat, or maybe I have a tapeworm. Who knows? All right, guys, let's get started. Hit it. All right, I finally had a chance to watch Deadpool 2 over the weekend. Watched it over 2 nights. I started it one night. I want to say it was Friday night or Saturday night. I can't remember at this point. Weekends all start to blend together. But I got through about an hour of it. It was late at night, and then I was tired. Definitely enjoying the movie, but I was just really, really tired. So I was like, you know what? We'll finish the rest tomorrow. And I did. Now, a lot of people out there are like, you got to see Deadpool 2. I had coworkers telling me this, friends. I read critic reviews. Everybody's saying Deadpool 2 does everything the first one did and ranks it up. It's even better. And that's an unusual thing because most times, 9 times out of 10, the sequel is not better than the original. It's usually a rehash and a cash grab, and that's probably what this is, but nonetheless, they jacked it up, and it's just as fun, if not better than the original. It's been a while since I've seen Deadpool 1. Not that it's an old movie, but, it's been a while, so I can't say fresh off the top of my head that it was my favorite thing, but I remember enjoying it. And I think this was just so much fun, and it doesn't take itself seriously. Neither did the first one, and that's a cool thing. So, that being said, let's bring up the stats. I'm going to bring you to the Google page right now. All right, so here's the screenshot of the Google page when you type in Deadpool 2. And right off the bat, we see IMDb gave it a 7.8 out of 10. Metacritic has it at 66%. And DVD Netflix, I have no idea what that is. I'm guessing it's some kind of review site. Gives it a 4 out of 5. 94% of Google users like this movie. And guess what? Yours truly liked it also. I already told you that, so no surprise there. All right, let's get to the description real quick. And like always, I want to preface this by saying Google's descriptions are not always 100% accurate. I'm going to read this. I didn't actually read it ahead of time. And if I feel like there's something a little off, I'll tell you. Wisecracking mercenary Deadpool meets Russell, an angry teenage mutant who lives in an orphanage. When Russell becomes the target of Cable, a genetically enhanced soldier from the future, Deadpool realizes that he'll need some help saving the boy from such a superior enemy. He soon joins forces with Bedlam, Shatterstar, Domino, and other powerful mutants to protect young Russell from Cable and his advanced weaponry. That's fairly accurate, I think, for the most part, right? I think so. I don't know if Russell lived at an orphanage or if he was taken in off the street to be experimented on, but it seems roughly accurate. And Cable, yeah, that's right, he comes from the future to, there's more to this whole story, but I feel like this is a pretty good description. Okay, let's see. Came out May 18th, 2018. Directed by David Leitch. It had a box office of $734 million in the U.S. with a budget of $110 million. So I would say it's a hit, and we're probably going to get a Deadpool 3, and I hope so. Production companies: Marvel Entertainment, Genre Films, and TSG Entertainment. Okay, so that's our basic stats. Let's get into cast. So here we are at the IMDb page, and we're going to go through the top billed cast, not through 70 members as it says here, but the main characters, starting with Ryan Reynolds, the heart of this movie. He plays Wade Wilson, Deadpool, and the voice of Juggernaut. Did not know that, and that's kind of spoilerish, but anyway, whatever. If you're here, I'm guessing you don't care too much about that. And I'm trying to keep this spoiler-free, but yeah. If you read this, you know the Juggernaut is in this movie. Big shock. It was a big surprise for me. I did not know that going in. Anyway, Ryan Reynolds, at this point in life, he is Deadpool. I think he's just embodied the character, and he's really made it his own. And I couldn't picture anyone else in this role. Love what he's done with this. And I think he had a hand in writing the movie as well. So, really, really good stuff. All right. We go down the list. Josh Brolin as Cable. Didn't know what to expect, I don't know much about Cable. I remember watching the X-Men cartoon from the 90s, and that's about as much as I know. I know he had some big cool gun. He came from the future. I believe he's the son of Jean Grey and what's his name? Scott Summers, Cyclops. They don't go into that in this, but I'm pretty sure that's who Cable is. And he's badass as F in this movie. That's all I can say. He's a good rival to Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool. And, spoiler, they end up teaming up at the end. But I think we kind of know that from the trailers and whatnot. Good job by Josh Brolin, who also happens to play Thanos in Marvel's Avengers Infinity War. And Deadpool being Deadpool, they make that joke. Deadpool just, they make fun of everything and nothing is sacred. And they pull in real world with comics. It's just a lot of fun. All right, next on the list, we have Marina Baccarin. She plays Vanessa, the love interest of Deadpool, Wade Wilson. Also, she's with Commissioner Gordon on Gotham, where she was anyway. So, I know her mostly from the show Gotham on Fox. Great character. But she does her thing in this. She is... what's the word I like to use? Refrigerated? That's a term they use when a love interest is, maybe killed to further the hero's story. But they make it up for you at the end. Make sure you watch the end credits for this movie, because there's more to that character than meets the eye. All right, let's get on to the next batch of characters. Moving on with the other cast members, we got Julian Dennison playing Fire Fist. One of the main focus... what drives the story forward in this movie is this character of Fire Fist. Even though he's not on screen a lot, he definitely is a big part of the story. He's a mutant. He has the power to cause fire from his hands, cause things to blow up. Very, very powerful, though in the beginning he doesn't quite have full control of the power. But as you'll learn, and I don't want to go too into spoilers, he has the potential to become very powerful and very dangerous. And we'll leave it at that. The kid does a very good job. He's a smart talking, smart mouth kind of character. Seems like a punk kid, but at the same time, you realize that he's been through a lot, and all that he really needs is love. All you need is love. Sounds cheesy as hell, but it works in some weird way. This is Deadpool. They make things work somehow. All right. Next, we have Zazie Beetz. I don't know how to pronounce that. Sorry. And she plays Domino. Very badass character. She's part of XForce. Deadpool puts together a few characters. And I don't want to go too much into that as well, because it's all spoiler stuff and you need to check out this movie. But she's one of the better characters to come out of XForce. She makes a dent in the movie. Her particular power is the power of luck. And Deadpool's like, what? That's not like a power. What are you talking about? But this movie makes it work. Very, very cool stuff. Look out for this character, Domino. Very cool stuff. TJ Miller plays Weasel. I don't know who this is. I'm sorry if, I watched the movie and I can't put the face to the name. Maybe he's one of the members of X-Force. It's possible. I don't know who he is for some reason. Maybe he was one of the guys they were interviewing. I can't really recall. Sorry, Mr. Miller. Leslie Uggams, she plays Blind Al. And this picture here does not does too much justice for her. She was actually a nice-looking young lady there. She's the old blind lady from Deadpool 1. She's also back in Deadpool 2. Kind of like the place where our hero goes to when he's at his low points. And a lot of fun banter between her and him. She's blind, obviously, and things go on. It's funny stuff. So, yeah, she obviously doesn't look like her picture here, but good actress. And then we have... I don't think it's Karen. I'm sure it's not Karen. It's probably Karan Soni, and he plays Dopinder. And he's your stereotypical Indian. It looks Indian to me. I guess he's Indian, from that part of the world. He could be Bangladesh or whatever, but you get the point. Typical cab driver type, stereotype character. And he's kind of like Deadpool's, I guess, buddy. He's kind of like his guy. He's in the first movie, and he has a bigger part in this movie. He's a cab driver. He takes Deadpool around, from his various job duties, and he wants to be an assassin. He wants to be part of that club. So, good. He's a funny actor. Does a great job, and that's Karan Soni as Dopinder. All right, let's get on to the next batch of characters. Okay, this will be our final list of cast of characters. Even though there are a lot more, I think this will cover the basic main characters. Brianna Hildebrand. She plays Negasonic Teenage Warhead. And she was in the first movie as well. She's a mutant, kind of a friend of Deadpool, but at the same time, they're always jabbing at each other. It's a weird relationship, but she's, kind of like an X-Men in training type character. She hangs out at the X-Mansion with Colossus and whatnot. Seems like it's the only X-Men they could afford for this movie, and there are jokes about that as well. Nothing else to add to that at this point. Moving on, we've got Jack Kesey plays Black Tom, and he's obviously not black, but that's what they call him, and he meets Deadpool in prison, and there's lots of jokes about that. He ends up getting killed or something like that by Cable, I think, and that's when Deadpool's teasing Cable about, how he's racist and stuff. He's like, you killed Black Tom and whatnot, and then, there's a scene where Cable tells Dopinder to turn off the radio in the cab, and there's just lots of funny stuff about that. But as far as the character, he doesn't have much to do with this film, but there he is. Eddie Marsan plays Headmaster. I guess that's the guy in the school that's torturing the kid. It doesn't really look like him here, but, according to this photo, but that's all I can imagine. The Headmaster, I think, is the guy that's doing these experiments on the kids in the orphanage. Nothing else to add to that except for, that is part of a plot in the movie. Whatever. Shioli Katsuna plays Yukio, and she's sort of like the girlfriend to Negasonic Teenage Warhead. I think she shoots electricity or something. That's her power. She's also a mutant, part of the X-Men family, and her, Colossus, and Negasonic Teenage Warhead make up pretty much the bulk of the X-Men you're going to see in this movie. And then that rounds us out with Stefan Kapicic. He is the voice of Colossus. Obviously, Colossus is a CG character in this film in metal form all the time. And here is our voice. You're like Colossus? I'm a Russian with big arms. That's bad, isn't it? Very bad. I'm sorry. Nothing else to add to that. That's it. That's the basic cast. All right, let's move on. So I really enjoyed this movie, Deadpool 2. It's no big secret. I think anybody who liked the first one's going to find a lot to like here. Cable, Josh Brolin as Cable does a great job. His interaction of Deadpool is just a lot of fun. Good stuff. The only sad thing about this movie is that you really can't show it to kids because, the cursing and the violence and what have you. But guess what? That's not entirely true. Because there's sort of a recut version of this movie that's come out. It's in theaters. It's be playing, I think, until December 24th. They're making it like it's a Christmas-friendly movie. They're making it PG-13. They're taking out all the cursing. They're dumbing down the violence. They're making it a PG-13 movie. They're adding Fred Savage. You know that kid from the Wonder Years? Yeah, he's in this movie. Sort of like a takeoff of The Princess Bride, which I think he was also in. He was the kid being told the story. Well, that's sort of what's happening here. Deadpool's telling the story of his movie to Fred Savage. They added in some new scenes from what I understand. I did not see this cut myself. And $1 of every movie ticket, sold is going to go to charity F Cancer, which they're calling Fudge Cancer, to keep the PG rating. So, that's cool, right? I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. I don't think I'm going to go see this movie, this cut of it, but if it's, ever out on, DVD or video, whatever, I will try to rent it or whatever. I already own the basic version. I don't think I want to spend $20, $30 more for a couple additional scenes. Maybe you can even catch these scenes online. I'm not sure. I didn't try YouTubing it. But that's my take on Deadpool 2. It's a lot of fun. I think if you like the first one, you've probably seen this one, so I don't need to sell you on it. If you have not seen either of them, you could definitely, I'm saying, check these movies out. Even if the superhero thing's not your thing, these movies make fun of the superhero thing, so I think you might like it. Just be careful when watching with the youngsters. Alright, so that's the B-Man's review for Deadpool 2. And now I want to get on to the other Josh Brolin film I watched. And, I didn't even know he was in it when I picked this one. So let's get into that. Alright, so that movie is none other than 1985's The Goonies. That's right, The Goonies. Now, this is an older movie. It's a classic. If you're in my age group, 40. Yeah. Anyway, if you're my age group, you've probably seen this movie a million times. I don't think I have to go too far into a review. Maybe for the younger crowd, if you're actually listening to this recording or watching me on YouTube, then I'll go into it a little bit, but not too in-depth. But Josh Brolin was in this movie, and I never even realized it until I watched it over the weekend, and I saw his name in the credits. He actually plays Brandon, a.k.a. Bran. And we'll get into the cast and whatnot in a bit. I want to tell you what led me down to this path. Not that this ever has to be a real reason to go watch The Goonies. This is a movie I can pull out every year and watch it and have a good time. But we'll get into what actually led me down this path. So I was going through my Amazon recommendations list and, looking for Prime Video, something free to watch. And Maniac Cop 2 shows up in my thing. It's like, you know what? Amazon thinks I'm going to like this movie. Me and my girlfriend are big into horror. We watch a lot of horror stuff, so I guess based on that, Amazon Prime thought we'd be into Maniac Cop 2. So we started it. Couldn't find Maniac Cop 1. Never seen Maniac Cop 1. I was looking for it on there. It doesn't show up. I was like, I would like to watch Part 1 before Part 2, but could not find it. So we start 2, get about 15 minutes into this movie, not really feeling it. I'm sorry. I mean, it's got Bruce Campbell and whatnot, and that's cool. He was much younger back then. I think this was in the 90s. I'm not sure exactly when it came out, but whatever. We just weren't feeling it. Then this guy comes on the screen, this other cop, played by Robert Davi, as you see up here in the top left if you're watching the YouTube video. And we're like, this guy looks familiar. What is he from? And then it clicks in my head. He's the crime guy, the Farrelly brother from Goonies. I talked to my girlfriend. She's like, you know what? You're right. And we're like, do you want to watch the Goonies? She's like, yeah. So we turn this crap off and we go and put on the Goonies. So that's what led us down the path to the Goonies. Did not set out to watch 2 Josh Brolin movies over this weekend. It just sort of happened that way. Maybe the guy's just in a lot of movies I didn't realize before. Anyway, that's how we went from Maniac Cop 2 to the Goonies. So now I'm going to go and talk about Goonies just a little bit. Alright, so as usual, we'll go right to Google for the basic stats and whatnot. IMDb gives it a 7.8 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes has it at 70%. Metacritic at 60%, which seems kind of lowish for this movie. I thought this movie had a little bit more love, but I think it's more loved by the kids and the fans than it was by critics. So we'll leave it at that. 91% of Google users like this movie, and yeah, you guessed it, I'm among that percentage. Now, let's go into the description here. Old-fashioned yarn about a band of adventurous kids who take on the might of a property developing company which plans to destroy their home to build a country club. When the children discover an old pirate map in the attic, they follow it into an underground cavern in search of lost treasure, but come up against plenty of dangerous obstacles along the way. Release date, June 7th, 1985. Directed by Richard Donner, who also directed Superman, if you remember back then. Featured song, The Goonies Are Good Enough. Okay. Screenplay by Chris Columbus. I think he had something to do with Gremlins, right? I'm not sure. I don't know. It sounds familiar. Story by Steven Spielberg, who also I think had something to do with Gremlins and was big into making these stories driven by children during that time period. So that's our basic stats for Goonies. Let's get into cast and talk about the movie. Here we have a screenshot of the cast of characters. We'll go through them really quick. I guess they put the most notable at the top of this list because these are more of the famous people. And like I said earlier, this is what led me. Josh Brolin plays Brand, aka Brandon. I never really paid attention to the credits. I mean, I knew some of these characters like Sean Astin. I recognized him a little bit, but never really paid attention. And this guy looks the most like he's changed the most. He does not look anything at all like Cable. So anyway, he's Mikey's older brother in this movie. He's kind of like supposed to be the responsible one. A little bit more mature than the younger kids he hangs out with, but he gets pulled into her adventure, and his heart's in the right place. He's just trying to do the right thing. He's also shown that he seems to be very much into fitness. Like every scene where they're not adventuring, he's kind of working out, whatever. So he's a protective older brother. Good fit, good character. And I gotta tell you, all the kids in this movie, they make this movie. They are the cast that drives the story forward. They're all believable. These are like kids I would have hung out with at that age. It's really definitely fits the time period of the 80s and the way kids kind of were. There's no phoniness about this whole environment. Bunch of kids getting over on a Saturday, whatever, to get into a little bit of trouble, go outside, go on adventures, real or fake. That's the kind of thing that happened back then. I don't think it happens in today's society. Obviously, I'm not a kid anymore. But particularly in the areas where I live, I don't even see kids outside anymore. Most of them, I think, have their heads stuck in an iPad or whatever. It was a different time, and that's just the way it was. Sean Astin, we all know him. I know him the best from Lord of the Rings. Samwise Gamgee, best friend of Frodo, and kind of the hero of the Lord of the Rings, if you ask me. He's the true hero. He's been in lots of other things. He was in Stranger Things Season 2. He also had a role in that. He was also in that show with the vampires, which is called The Strain. So he had a role in that. Not a huge role, but he was in it. He plays Mikey. He's Bran's younger brother. He's the one that, finds this map, and he's like, he wants to go on the adventure. He's kind of the unofficial leader of the group. He's the one motivating everyone, like, we got to do this. We got to save our town. This is our last great adventure. And you really feel for this kid. Very good job. Corey Feldman plays Mouth. Now, we all know Corey Feldman. He was in Gremlins. He's in The Lost Boys. He's in a bunch of things. And they call him Mouth for a reason. Sorry. Obviously, his name is not Mouth, but they refer to him as Mouth because he's a wise talking, never keeps his mouth quiet kind of character. Very funny, comic relief. He's the fun guy in the group. All right, let's move on to the next page. Jeff Cohen. Now, he looks nothing like the kid in this movie. His name was Chunk, and he was a chunky kid, so that's probably why they called him Chunk. He's a heavy-set kid. He's gluttonous. They're all in danger, and the first thing he's thinking about is eating ice cream and stuff, but he's a very cute kid, and he makes friends with Sloth, and we'll get into Sloth in a minute. And he doesn't spend a lot of the time in this movie with the group. He gets separated, and he goes on his own little side adventure, but when they reunite, it's great and good stuff. Kerry Green plays Andy. Now, Andy, to me, has always been a boy's name, but in this thing, she's Andy the girl. And she's like a love interest to Brand, kind of. By the end of the movie, they're kind of hooking up. In the beginning, she's with some other douchebag rich kid guy, but things work out. She ends up joining the Goonies on their adventure, and she is what she is. Typical teenage girl, hormones running. She wants to kiss the boy even when they're in danger. Not very realistic, but it is what it is. Jonathan Ke Quan plays Data. And if you recognize him as a kid, he's also the kid that played Short Round in Indiana Jones and Temple of Doom. So if you know that kid, that's who he was in this movie. And he's kind of like the inventor of the group. His father is an inventor by trade, and the son is just like the father. He's got all these crazy inventions. Half the time they don't work, but when they do, it's pretty cool. So, he's like he's the brain of the group, all right? Okay. All right, then we go to the last section here. Martha Plimpton plays Steph. She's Andy's friend, kind of tags along for the adventure. She's not really into it, but she goes where her friend goes. And not a major character in this, but she has her part to play. That's it. Now, Jonathan Matuzak plays Sloth. And if you look at the picture here, it's obviously from his football playing days. Very, very big guy. Looks nothing like he does in this movie. In this movie, he's a deformed guy, Sloth. And you know what? We'll talk about Sloth in a second. So I could actually bring up another picture of him. Joe Pandolino plays Francis, right? So that's it. Yeah, Francis is one of the Fratelli brothers. This guy always plays like a mafia or crime-related character in a lot of his movies, so that's who you recognize him from. Oh, they didn't have the other guy on here, this Davey guy. That's what brought me over here to begin with. All right, well, that's what I have as far as the major cast members. There are others, but it didn't show up here. All right, anyway, that's the cast. Let's go to the Sloth real quick. I want to bring you up a picture of Sloth, and we'll talk about it. All right, so here we have a picture of Jeff Cohen and John Matuzak looking nothing like they do in real life at this point anyway. Chunk is Jeff Cohen, and John Matuzak plays Sloth. Like I said, he's deformed, big guy, but look what they did with the makeup and stuff. And this film directed by Richard Donner, and I guess this is tribute to that. Sloth is wearing a Superman shirt, and there's a very, very cool scene where they even play a little bit of the music when he comes and he saves the day when the Goonies are being outnumbered by the Fratellis. They're about, to be killed by them. So he's a very, lost my voice. Very lovable character. Even though he is an older person, he's very much has the mindset of a child. And in the beginning, they all think he's a monster. They have him, the Fratellis have him locked up in the basement of this old abandoned diner. And all the kids hear is the roaring and him chained up. They feel he's basically Chunk is the one who meets him, I think. And he's like, he's a monster. But it turns out that he actually has a great heart. He turns on his family members who are pure evil, and he ends up joining the Goonies. So that's a little bit about Sloth. And that's it for the Goonies. I have nothing else to really add to this movie. You've probably seen it, so I don't know why I even went this far into it. But just in case you didn't, or you want a little refresher, I hope you enjoyed this. This is one of my longest recordings ever. So if you're watching this on YouTube or listening somewhere, please give me a like. I put some effort into this one. Come on. Don't like it. Whatever. It is what it is. All right. That was it. I did want to talk about some video games, but I ran really over so far, and I want to get this uploaded to YouTube as soon as possible. So I'm going to probably do a separate video sometime during the week, and I'll talk about those games I played on the PlayStation. Thanks for joining me, wannabes. As always, it's been a pleasure bringing you a recording. And until next time, peace out.